NC State basketball finishes the regular season on a 4-game skid. Is Kevin Keatts potentially about to coach his last game in the red and white?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. NC State basketball finished the regular season on Saturday with an 81-73 loss out in Pittsburgh, kind of mercifully ending this regular season that has been a roller coaster for the entirety of the year. In the event that NC State somehow loses to Louisville, is this going to be potentially Kevin Keatts' final game?
If Coach Keatts loses to that squad, that Louisville team that is rumored, no confirmation here yet. Y'all know that we're locked in with Dalton Pence over there at Locked On Cardinals or Locked On Louisville over there. You know we're locked in with him. And I reached out to him to ask him, is there any truth to the Kenny Payne accepted the buyout allegations? He said he would not confirm or deny at this point in time, but he did have some credible sources saying Louisville may very well be without a coach immediately following this ACC tournament. So I don't know whether or not he's done already. But what I will say is this. If you lose to a lame duck coach that has never won 2 games straight in the ACC period, you lose to that coach, that team just got no mossed. We all saw the Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard fight where Roberto Duran said no mas. This is one of those moments where your team clearly, they're tapping out. Ref, no mas. We're good. We're good here. So I think he should be done at that point because you're looking at another roster overhaul. You're looking at another, hey, hopefully we can do something. Hopefully it works out. And the way that this year has turned out, I think that it has put Coach Keatts' shortcomings as a head coach on full display in a way that most people wouldn't imagine. Because there wasn't injuries like you saw with Coach Doran, and I believe it was the 2019 team or 2018. So it wasn't injuries. Everybody on that team was injured. If it was a situation where DJ Burns is hurt, DJ Horn is hurt, Jaden Taylor's hurt, we lose all of our big guys at once to the point where we're having to play MJ Rice at the 5 a ton. Sure, there'd be an argument. If there was something significant to where like, oh my, there's a large-scale cheating scandal and half of our starters aren't available or something like that. You have everybody available for most of the season, and we end as the 10th seed in the ACC tournament. Brother, in the words of one Ray Charles, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more.
That last sentence you had in there is NC State is finishing the regular season as the 10th seed. That sentence, among all the others you just threw at me there, that one was really the thorn in NC State basketball's side for this season. Of course, we've been talking about how, they started out 5-1 and just continued to slide ever since that mark as the season has gone on. You now sit as the 10th seed. You got to play Louisville, the last place team in the ACC, on the first day of the tournament, on that dreaded Tuesday. His job should not hinge on the outcome of this game. Honestly, I agree. We all know enough about the tenure and this season as a whole that it should not hinge on this game. But in the event that NC State would lose to Louisville in this game, I mean, as quick as the horn is sounding, that should be it. We've gone at length talking about the apathy, looking at potentially as far as next year's team. All of this compounded gives you a very clear writing on the wall. And that is something to certainly keep an eye on Tuesday. We'll talk more about that matchup against Louisville in Tuesday's episode. And again, more of the ramifications. But, just quickly summarizing up this game against Pitt, it was more of the same. And it's a little bit different. TJ Horn, your leading scorer, misses the majority of this game due to injury, but just not enough offense from everyone else. I thought Jaden Taylor played a good game. He can't do it alone. It's the same storyline as we've talked about countless times over the course of this season. So it did feel like a merciful ending to this regular season. Of course, Pitt, I believe with that win, clinched themselves the 4 seed in this tournament. So they had obviously something to play for, as where we were just playing for pride. You can be pleased with the fight, but the end result, again, is not what you're looking for. And so it goes. So a very somber potential ending to this basketball season. Certainly going to see what they look like on Tuesday against Louisville. But, I mean, this really does feel like it's angled toward the end here, Kenton.
I'm going to say something that some people aren't going to like. But I'm going to stand in it and I'm going to own it. I don't even like the fight. I don't even like the – I'm not even going to say, hey, this was a team that came out with the effort and intensity like they were trying to avoid playing on day one of the tournament. I'm not going to say that this was a team that you knew your opponent was playing for something. And I always say, if you can't go to the party, the best thing you can do, slash their tires. Make sure they don't go either. That's the best thing you can do. Play spoiler. Nothing wrong with a little bit of spoiler. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with spoiling somebody's fun so long as the right people's fun is getting spoiled. And you sit here and come into this game and immediately out the gates, 10-point lead at halftime. Come on, man. Come on. Enough is enough. And I agree. This thing shouldn't hinge on – Kevin Keats's job shouldn't hinge on the game against Louisville. Because even if they dominate Louisville, even if they whoop the wheels off Louisville, even if they beat Louisville so bad they finally removed teeth from the mascot to appease one Grayson Boone, he still should not be bought back next year unless they go on a magical run to the likes of which we've never seen, where they find a way to win the ACC tournament and win multiple tournament games. You and I have said this all year, and I stand by it. No dance, no chance. We're in year 7 now. Lucky number 7. And how many tournament wins do we have to show for it, Grayson?
Goose egg.
0. Well, that's okay. It's really hard to get into the NCAA tournament and win, but at least in the ACC, we've got like an ACC championship game appearance, right?
Can't say we have one of those either.
Well. You know what? That's okay, because with Coach Williams and Coach K retiring, at least we're the preeminent program in the triangle now, right? Like we've swept both of those teams multiple times in that 7 years, right? Because they lost 2 legends, 2 titans in the game, right?
Would you believe that we have also squandered that opportunity?
Okay, well, hold on. Coach Keats, one thing we say about Coach Dorn a lot is he's raised the floor. And Coach Keats surely has raised the floor. The worst season in NC State basketball history definitely didn't happen under Keats.
Floor has not moved.
It, in fact, dropped. So what are we keeping and why are we keeping him at this point? Y'all know me. I don't call for these things lightly. But when it is clear, when it becomes apparent, you cannot get the job done. When it becomes apparent, you cannot develop players. You better be bringing in 5-star on 5-star on 5-star, where even if you do tell them, go out there and play street ball, they're going to get you 25 wins a year. Shout out to Coach Cal. And we're not getting that. So with that being said, Grayson and I said it. I stand by it. I stand in it. I stand on it. No dance, no chance.
The writing is on the wall. It's been on the wall, and it is extremely legible. We're going to have to see how this thing goes on Tuesday against Louisville. But speaking of ACC tournaments, the women's made it all the way out to the final. We're going to talk about that after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experience with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into any existing TV. Whether it's opening weekend for MLB or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from all of your favorite sports fans, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos as well. So check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, well, take it from me. You should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Our second sponsor of the day is Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all of the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Their all-in prices show your total upfront, so you know you're getting a great deal before you go to checkout. And you can buy tickets in just seconds with only a number of taps. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts, making it the place to find last-minute ticket deals. And with Gametime's guarantee, you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less on another site, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Middle portion of our Monday episode, now talking about women's basketball, suffered a very tough loss at the hands of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the ACC Tournament final. When we left you on Friday, they had to face Duke and Florida State, took care of business in both of those, setting up the championship game against Notre Dame, a team that we had previously run up on out in South Bend close to about a month ago, played very well offensively in that game. Wouldn't you know it, it was the offense that simply ran out of gas in this one for NC State, losing by a score of 55-51. Kenton, what stuck out to you in this tough loss to Notre Dame in the tournament final?
You know, first of all, credit to Neil Ivey and that team over there. What a team. What a team to overcome the loss of Olivia Miles and you know, to be in this position. But I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me is the zone really gave NC State problems.
Yep.
And that's one of those things that you look at this NC State team in the way that they're comprised and you say, they are lacking a little bit of shooting. And what's a quick way to disturb a team who can't make you pay if you leave a shooter or two open on the perimeter? You go to a zone, you know, and that's ultimately what it was. And I think that this team did a really good job of ball movement against the zone and all that. But I'm glad it happened here because you know what's going to happen now, right? It's just like what they used to tell us all the time when I played for State. It was if teams have success running power at you when you're aligned in the B gap, what do you think the next team is going to do? They're going to run power at you too. And what do you think the team after them is going to do? And so you're going to see a lot of teams in the tournament likely go to a zone to say, you know what, they've got some bigs that can score, but how do we take that away? We're going to have 2-3 bodies on them, and we're going to say, hey, if they can knock it down from outside, we'll be just fine with that. And also, it was just an off night from deep for the Pack as well. So, again, credit to Notre Dame. Great strategy, great scheme, all those things. This is a bad loss, and I'm not going to keep harping on the fact that we were picked to finish 8th coming into this season. But I'll tell you this. If you go back and remember the 3-time back-to-back-to-back ACC champions, they had to have years where they knocked on the door before they kicked it down. This feels like a knock-on-the-door year because all that you're bringing back, and then you're bringing in another top recruiting class. I mean, Wes Moore with another banger in recruiting. And guess what? We've got a super shooter from North Carolina coming in this next class. I'm telling you right now, this team will be back. But on to March for now.
I certainly agree with you. I think the makings of this team here in 23 and 24, it does feel like that classic reload right before you really get right. Maybe they will take on that mantra into next season. But yeah, I mean, this was a tough loss to Notre Dame. Again, a team that you did already beat just about a month ago. We talked in the last couple weeks about the offensive inefficiencies that have plagued this team in some of these tough losses over the course of the last couple weeks. And that really showed up again here. And unfortunately, it was in the tournament final. Defensively, they did have their struggles, and Hidalgo and Westbell just keeping them at bay long enough. But when you shoot, I think it was like 17% from three. Isaiah James, we've been so reliant on her cooking these last couple months. And more often than not, she has been doing so, but just could not find her shot in this one from deep. I think she was 0 for 6, if I'm not mistaken. River Baldwin did a lot of the heavy lifting down in the paint. I thought she played a phenomenal game, but just not enough consistency outside of the paint to bring this one home. And so it's a tough loss. It would have been 4 and 5 years, which would have been an outstanding accomplishment for Westmore and this women's program. I too stand where Kenton is here. And this is you can almost see this as a silver lining because it gets them now better prepared for the big dance. And you see they got a closer look at some of their deficiencies that they can now fix over the course of the next week and a half, because they do have a little bit of a waiting time before the women's tournament gets going. In a sense, they can use this as a positive if they choose to. And we've seen the heights that they can reach with this team. They knocked off UConn. They knocked off Colorado. They have the most ranked wins of anyone in the country. And so you have to feel good about that. Tough loss, but I don't think it dampens how much they did accomplish this year. Look at how far they've come off of that. They've been ranked in the top 10 for much of the year, made it to the tournament final, came up a little bit short, but they're now priming up for possibly a deep run here in March Madness. So we're going to have to wait and see what seed they get in the big dance. I would probably anticipate maybe a 3 seed.
3
maybe they'll get a favorable draw and go on a run from there. But tough loss all in all. Got to think they'll be ready to go here in about a week and a half.
Yeah, and you talk about the struggles from deep and all that, and you look forward to next season. If only they were bringing in somebody who, I don't know, was about a 45% shooter from deep and averaging nearly 30 points a game in high school. This team as it's constructed right now, don't pack it in, don't throw it in on the season. I mean, just for in a very serious moment right now, right? Let's think about this. If you were saying, I'm a little worried about this team, they shouldn't have lost to Notre Dame. They were lower seeded. They beat Notre Dame in the past, all that good stuff. I understand that. But let's think about this for just a second. How many teams would we kill to have in this spot, in the tournament, in the conference championship game?
Every other team.
How many, right? The last one to get there, I want to say, is the baseball team, and our bats just did not bat that day. Football, the ACC championship game has been around for a while. I'm part of that history. Never made it. Basketball, it's been a while. Been a while. The shorts were way shorter. I'm not, even though we talk about this year was looked at as a rebuilding year, River Baldwin is having none of that. Mimi Collins is having none of that. This is still a team that has a lot of good ball left in them for the rest of March and for the big dance.
And anticipating where they will be called to on Selection Sunday, but they're going to be ready to go when their name is indeed called. Finishing up our Monday episode, we're touching on baseball's sweep over Boston College after a quick word from our sponsors. Our third sponsor of the day is LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are just right for that role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to interview and hire. They give you access to professionals that you simply cannot find anywhere else. Hiring is easier when you have this many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within just 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats that they simply might not have the time or resources to effectively hire. So LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make this process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making this process even quicker and easier. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Make your small business a part of this statistic. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Last couple of minutes here of our Monday show. NC State baseball just wrapped up a sweep over Boston College over the weekend, played a Friday doubleheader due to inclement weather in the area on Saturday, and then an early game on Sunday, but nonetheless took care of business in all three games. They won game 1, 5-4 in extra innings. The 11th inning, they took home the walk-off victory. Game 2 by a score of 9-1. And then game 3 on Sunday was a football game. 18-16. It was a blustery day at Doak Field. I believe there was 12 home runs hit in totality amongst both teams, but NC State conjured up just enough offense to walk away with that game as well. My main takeaway here, bats have been what has really impressed here through the first 4 weeks of play. The ECU transfer third baseman Alec Makarevich, second in total RBIs, but first in RBIs per game, the way that averages out. He's killing it. He's been our best hitter, arguably our best player. If you want to argue it, I'd say probably the other player in that argument is first baseman Garrett Pennington. Seems like every single game he's got 2 or 3 hits because he is seeing beach balls in the box right now. Kenton, what do you think about Pennington and Makarevich here through the first 4 weeks?
You know, we need to come up with a name for this duo. You know what I mean? We could get Mac and Crush and Cheese, A-Mac, Big Mac, doesn't matter in terms of the Alex's side of this thing. But Pennington, that's where it gets interesting. We need to come up with something about those two together. You know what I mean? Like it's a, you know, PenMax sounds like a super global corporation that's like the bad guys in the movie, but very seriously, they were absolutely getting them out of there all weekend, especially on Sunday. I mean, boy, look out below. But, you know, I very genuinely want us to get to a place where we can just celebrate these teams doing what they're supposed to do, right? Like, of course, we're supposed to sweep guys who pronounce car keys and khakis the exact same way, right? But that's neither here nor there. Boston College was actually very good at baseball last year. And so they were one of the surprise teams in the ACC last year, especially coming out the gates. So for us to not take this team lightly out of the gates, that's a good sign. Now, does the pitching need to improve? Absolutely. With that being said, I'm looking at this thing, and like you said, the pitching is a work in progress, but we are still moving and grooving in the right direction. You would always rather learn in a win than a loss. You don't want to learn that lesson in getting swept. You want to learn these lessons in, you know what? The game might have been high scoring and wacky, but guess what? We whacked a few more out of the park than they did.
Yeah, I mean, ACC ball games are going to be difficult to win, whether you're home or away, regardless of how many you're playing. When you have 3 games ahead of you on a weekend and you take all 3 of those, regardless of ACC opponent, that's important. So they handled business against Boston College. They took all 3 games. These are the type of series that you have to take care of business because they will ultimately add up on you toward the end of the year. And as I said, once ACC play begins, you're playing for seeding for the next 2 months. And so winning all 3 of these will be very key moving forward. So glad to see the guys took care of business there. Next weekend, I believe they're on the road at Georgia Tech. That'll be their first ACC road test, but it was certainly good to handle all 3 games here at home to kick off ACC play. That'll do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Tell us if you think we will see Kevin Keatts for the final time on Tuesday. I don't mean to be harsh, but we're telling it how we see it here. If we lose to Louisville, I don't know, brother. Let us know what you think about the women's loss to Notre Dame in the final and their prospects of making a little noise in March Madness here in the next couple weeks. And tell us what you thought about NC State baseball's sweep over Boston College. That'll do it for us here on Monday. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.